So as we are celebrating our 100 years of independence, we want to foster collaborations, and not only between Finland and Singapore, but with everybody. So basically innovation happens without the borders of the nations. So today we have here people from many nations. We have some Finns here, we have lots of Singaporeans, we have Vietnamese, we have other nationalities in the room. So let's foster collaborations and ideas for collaboration today. Without further ado, let's move forward with a couple of questions that I will make, and after that I will open up the questions and comments for everybody in the room. We will use approximately 45 minutes with this format, then we will walk out and left and have some drinks and do some networking until 4:30. Alright, so the first question to warm up. Your organization, what does it do to foster innovation in the city of Helsinki, in the nation city, Singapore? How do you do it? What are the key points you would like to share with us? Let's start with Helsinki.
Thank you. If this works, right? Yeah. First of all, I would like to say that the Northern European cities are quite different from the rest of the world. We collect taxes, we take care of almost all of the services to citizens. Helsinki is the biggest employer in Finland. And all of this means that the mayor's power to act as a kind of a change maker is quite a lot bigger than in a lot of other cities. So, and it may be something similar to Singapore, that we really can make big things happen. And it also means that the city can work as a facilitator, it can work as an enabler, and someone to bring together a lot of people. And how I would like to describe our innovation ecosystem in the city is by using 3 words or 3 Ds. I talk about design, dialogue, and disruption. And with design, I mean that a city that wants to be really smart should have a vision about the future. It should say what kind of future it wants to have, where is it going, what's the vision that we want to see, and it should also involve a lot of people and companies and so on in making this vision true. And in Helsinki, the way that we coin it is that we want the city to be sustainable, we want to be climate friendly, but we also want to make it a better place for the citizens. And one of the ways to say this, how we want to think about the citizens, is our smart city district, Kalasatama in Helsinki. The phrase that they use is giving citizens 1 more hour a day. It means that all the smart city solutions that we have, whether they are in mobility, logistics, retail or energy use, they should help in making it a place where people actually save time and then they can do anything that they want with the time. The other thing that I mean with dialogue then is that we should really involve all the players together. Like I said, the city is a good neutral broker. It's easy for us to collect people around the same table and start talking about change. And one of the biggest change things that we've done in Helsinki is a foundation called Smart and Clean, which involves 5 cities in the metropolitan region, 3 ministries, 13 large companies, including Kone, for example, which is quite big here in Singapore too, and research institutes and universities. And they've all invested their time and money in the highest levels. So we have CEOs, presidents, mayors, and so on in the board of the foundation. And the idea is to make a 5-year transition project that aims at Helsinki being the best place in the world for testing smart and clean solutions. I will be very quick at the last point. With disruption, I mean that if we think about things like Uber or Airbnb, those were disruptions for the companies and for actually the whole world. And what happened was that these things happened and then cities later on reacted to the changes. And this is not really a good thing. We should be involved in it because what happened then is you start having regulations afterwards. So there are a lot of European cities that now don't allow Uber or Airbnb to work in their cities. And this is not really good because we want the companies to thrive, but at the same time we want to make it a sustainable city for everyone so that it doesn't become impossible for people to live in the city centers or for taxi companies all of a sudden disappearing and so on. So it should be that we are involved in disruptions together, all of the players.
All right, thank you. And then Singapore and IMDA's role in that.
Okay. Well, IMDA is a government agency. Our responsibilities, we have supervisory responsibilities for the IT sector, information technology sector, the telecom sector, the media sector, and also the personal data protection. So these 4 aspects. And we feel that bringing all 4 aspects helps us to be able to be in a better position to shepherd how the new digital economy will shape forwards. Because a lot of it will be how data is used, how communications is able to move data around to the right people, how does a media, which is a means of communication, people-to-people communication, how can that be better fostered? And of course, as you get into information, how data can be best protected, especially about personal data. So those are the 4 aspects that we deal in. When we look at how can we foster an innovation ecosystem, we can think in terms of like a triangle. The 2 bases of the triangle would be one on infrastructure, one on manpower. These are the 2 foundation pillars. We make sure that the infrastructure is available to enable people to innovate on top of it. So the infrastructure should be open access, should be resilient, should be safe to use, should be price appropriate for the different type of users, whether it would be for the people or for businesses. Manpower, we look at how can we get the right skills. We focus more on the leading skills that's needed as we go forward in the digital economy. That also needs to make sure that in the current workforce, as things get disrupted, like what was talked about Uber and things like that, how can you retrain some of the people going forwards? We start all the way from kindergarten all the way up to retirees and how to retrain. So we cover the whole spectrum of manpower, baby power, and whatever else power. In the middle of that triangle is the industry. So we look at how we can best foster the industry. So there are 4 areas that we pay special attention in the digital economy. So one area is future communications and Internet of Things. That's one area. Another area is cybersecurity. The third area has to do with data analytics and artificial intelligence. And the 4th area is what we call immersive media. So obviously, Internet of Things, we all know it's coming around. So how do you use this? And of course, the Internet of Things needs to be able to relay information back. That's the future of comms. Data analytics as well as artificial intelligence seems to be coming together because a lot of data helps in deep learning. So those 2 disciplines seem to be coming together. Then the aspect of cybersecurity, of course, very important to underpin trust in the new digital economy. Last but not least, how people can communicate with each other in a different way using mixed reality, that's immersive media. So these 4 areas, that's the middle part. Last but not least, we also look into what we can do to transform various industry sectors. So from manufacturing to healthcare, to finance and banking, all the different sectors, and there are about 23 sectors we look at. We're not going to transform all 23. IMDA doesn't have so much manpower. So we focus on a few that make sense for us to get involved, including the retail sector. And for that, there are 2 parts. One part is to look at what we call raising the peak. That means there may be some sectors where we feel that we can do a lot more in fundamentally changing how things are done. So we are doing some of those things in logistics. The next part is what we call raising the base, because the base has a lot of SMEs, a lot of people who also need to come along. So we need to also raise the entire base, otherwise the peak will go very high. So that's our transformation part. So within this entire thing is just like what was discussed. We get the academics involved, we get research institutes involved, the companies, big, small, medium, startups, whole ecosystem, and telcos and in different areas. It's coming together.
Thank you. And please take a seat. There are a lot of seats here in the front. So let's make the second question. What are the initiatives, projects, consortiums, ecosystem things that we should know about for potential collaboration or participation? Let's start from Helsinki.
Okay, well, first of all, we are organizing an event here in September. We are bringing over 100 people from Finland, lots of companies here to talk in 5 different workshops about the things that we think that we have something to give to Singapore, but where we also want to have some collaboration with them. So we want to have a dialogue inside the workshops as well, not just tell what we are doing. One of them is school or education system, healthcare, maritime IT solutions, smart and clean solutions, and then also some design thinking. And if I would pick one specific topic, that would be maybe inside the smart and clean solutions, we want to talk about smart mobility. We are quite advanced in autonomous vehicles, smart mobility, mobility as a service and so on. And I think there's quite a lot happening here as well, and we could probably have some partnerships coming up with this kind of dialogue here.
All right, thank you. And those events in September will happen on the September Innovation Week, where Slush Singapore is also happening. So Slush people, please raise your hands. Okay, Slush Singapore, talk with these ladies here. Okay, sir, Singapore.
Some of the things we do, of course, a lot in infrastructure building. So, of course, Finland, you have Nokia. So we work a lot with Nokia and of course with associated companies on building infrastructure for Internet of Things, for broadband communications, for various aspects. For manpower, we have projects that we work with companies, for example. We have what we call the company-led training, just to name one of the things we do. What we do is that we actually work with a company. If they need to train, let's say 50 people, we tell them train 100, I will pay for 50. And when you're done, you select the best 50, you keep them, give me the other 50 and I will deploy it to the rest of the industry. So that's overtraining. So I pay for the 50, they keep the 50. So that's company-led training. That's been quite successful. Actually, we partnered with Google on this because Google wanted to have a lot of people well trained in data science and knowledge of use of data. And so we are doing that. We also partnered with Google in the areas where they wanted to train leadership, people who would be able to know what to do with data in their company. So not technical people, but just basically CEOs and senior managers. So our goal is to train 1,000 of them at the start. So some of them will be SMEs, some of them will be larger companies. Then when we go into areas like transformation, in terms of startups and building that part, one of the things that perhaps we can introduce and talk about is an initiative called accreditation. And what accreditation does is that we look for startups who have reached a certain level of maturity, not the early startups, but they have got some customers and it looks like they are receiving a good track record. Then we want to see how we can give them a boost to grow more exponentially. And we also look for companies with good technology who can use the technology in multiple fields and also be able to scale even beyond Singapore. And this applies to both local as well as foreign startups who want to make a presence in Singapore. So what this accreditation does is that these companies come to us. Of course, we want to see the track record, we want to see their customers, to see that they have something really useful. We want to know whether they really own the intellectual property, so we don't quite welcome resellers of stuff. So what we do is that we will check their commercial model, the financial model, we track their IP rights, we check what their technology is like. We actually attempt to break their technology. If it breaks, then it's a problem. It may not be scalable. So we do a lot of due diligence, and if they pass all our tests, we accredit them, then they are put in front for government procurement, they are put right in front. So that means if the government does not buy them, they have to explain to IMDA why they don't buy them, why they don't use the product. So that's one aspect. We have now gone beyond government to also look at healthcare, look into things like finance and banking and real estate. So these areas have come to us and asked us to bring our accredited companies. Now the accreditation process is very, very grueling. And so of the hundreds of companies that have come to us, we have so far only accredited 17. in the last 3 years. So it's very grueling. The good thing about it is that at the end of the checks done by us, they get a report card from us. Either they pass accreditation or they not. If they did not, we explain to them why they did not. Either they don't have enough funding, because we are very afraid of companies not being around after 3 years, then it's a problem for us. So we want to make sure there's sufficient funding, sufficient financing model, commercial model that make it successful. If you break their code and they are not able to fix it to our satisfaction, they also don't pass. But we tell them exactly where the code has break, so please go fix it. So these are things. We have now gained quite a big reputation for our accreditation program, because what happens now is that we are beginning to see term sheets received by startups, where the term sheet says that you do not get accredited by IMDA, we're not going to fund you. So now we become the checker for investors, which is pretty strange. Maybe we should get a cut of that. But anyway, we don't invest in the startups, we don't give them grants, so we just give them a quality mark. And once we do that, we then help them get revenue. So in the last 3 years, we have managed to get about 70 million Singapore dollars worth of business for this 70 million dollars for this 17 accredited companies, which is not bad, and we continue to get a lot more business for them. We also try to help them get listed on the Singapore Exchange. So we have a special MOU with the Singapore Exchange, whereby they are essentially investment bankers, but for the smaller companies. Investment bankers that they normally partner with are made available for this startup, so that you can basically turbocharge the whole listing process for this company and make it easier for them. Last but not least, when I talk about the sectoral transformation part, to raise the peaks, we have done quite a lot of initiatives in the logistics sector, in the healthcare sector, in the finance and banking sectors and education sectors. In these areas, what we do is we want to fundamentally transform the way things work in that area. So for example, in logistics, we have restructured how the receiving of goods and the sending of goods for a retail mall happens. So we've inserted a new operator in a retail mall called an in-mall operator, whose sole job is to just receive, keep the goods and then deliver to the retailer. And that shortens the amount of delivery time by the trucks, because what is happening is all the trucks get jammed up. So we want to reduce that inefficiency. We also set in place infrastructure that allows multiple trucks to go to one consolidation site, exchange the goods in an automated fashion, and then one truck goes to the retail mall. So all these transformation things basically allows us to then pull forward a lot of SMEs, because one big initiative, the affected SMEs have to digitalize themselves and continue operating in the environment. That's how we bring the whole ecosystem forward.
Thank you. Iina, one small additional question. Startups in Helsinki, how does the City of Helsinki support them?
Yes, in quite a lot of ways. We just started the biggest startup hub in Northern Europe, at least, probably soon in Europe, in an old hospital in central Helsinki, and we are housing already. It's been operational for 6 months, and it's been very, very successful, and we are acquiring more spaces, and it's really becoming a hub. Slush, of course, is one of the biggest factors in the startup, kind of like the whole image of entrepreneurship, I think, has changed because of Slush. It has become attractive, it has become interesting, hot to be an entrepreneur, and this, I think, was the first change, and then we are trying to facilitate a lot of changes around it. We also have a lot of entrepreneurship centers with universities, so we've started programs with the University of Helsinki. Aalto has done a lot by itself, the other of our big universities, but also the universities of what are the vocational universities, kind of like that. They are also putting quite a lot of money now into startup programs and so on. We also have a program called Startup Exchange, which is making deals with a lot of cities globally, where the idea is that you know, we house a Singapore startup if they want to come to Helsinki in our startup hub in this old hospital, and And the idea is that you get all the connections that we have, and you can be part in an incubator or so on for a couple of weeks for free. And the exchange is kind of like, so if we have a startup that wants to come to Singapore, then that would be possible. So we are making these deals with a lot of Asian cities and a lot of European cities and American cities. And that might be something that we might also be talking about in the future.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's one of the things that is in early discussions with some counterparts, so something to follow up afterwards.